Now, we had no choice but to go see a psychiatrist, and it's a very strange feeling, because it's like somebody's investigating you, you know, almost like somebody is saying, well, you can't look after your child, you know, what are you doing? And I think Jason was relieved, because at last he had somebody who would listen to him. He could tell her all the details, and she would listen and just write things down. And obviously she went through the motions, you know, she interviewed me, she interviewed Paul, she interviewed Daniel, she wanted to go into, you know, a family history. As I say, it was, you know, it was a bit, I suppose, you know, it makes you a little bit angry, because it's like, you know, why are these people suggesting, you know, that we're not nice to our own children? It was that sort of, you know, that sort of feeling. But then on the other hand, it was almost like a relief, because you think, well, finally, you know, we're going to get some answers. We're going to find out what's going on. Now, we still didn't appear to be getting anywhere. You know, she was just seeing him on a regular basis. She was talking to us. I'll reel this on. There we are. That's the first page of the Ministry of Agriculture report, which I still have. So I basically put that in so that, you know, you can see that, you know, this is the sort of thing we got. That's the first page of a 12-page report that we had, as I say, which I still have. The next one. There we are. Now, I put that letter in because that is actually from his psychiatrist to our GP. And again, I have the original letters. Now, what happened was, he woke up one morning. He had an appointment with the psychiatrist, and he woke up, and when I went in to wake, you know, to get him up, get him ready, he was in pain, and he lifted up his pajama top, and he had a perfect triangle on his side. It was about 2 inches on either side, on all sides, on 3 sides, and it was sort of raised slightly from the skin. I don't think you'll be able to see it properly on there, but that paragraph just before the bottom, that's where the psychiatrist talks about it, because she says the patch was red on his tummy when he first came to see me, and she goes on about the size, etc. I can't read it without my glasses, but say I put it out there because it's proof that, you know, she mentions it to the, you know, to our own doctor, and of course the psychiatrist was at a loss for words. She couldn't explain it. You know, she sort of lifted up her glasses and sort of stared at it and prodded it, and then she went out the room, and she came back with all her colleagues, and they all sort of stood round, and, you know, nobody had any explanation. They couldn't explain what it was, they couldn't explain how it was done. But at the end of their session, she had about an hour session with Jason. By the end of the session, you could hardly see it. And we found since that, you know, this happens quite a lot. You know, the things that would sort of send you running to the doctors, or, you know, calling an ambulance, things that look absolutely horrific, within about an hour. It's hardly noticeable. Now, as I say, we had this first letter, and we still had no answers, basically. I suppose really, you know, we wanted the medical profession to say to us, look, you know, this is what's going on, this is the condition, here's some pills, give him these, he'll get over it. That's what, you know, that's what we wanted. We put a lot of faith into the medical profession, and obviously we didn't get anywhere. Now, it was one evening that we were actually watching a programme. You know, the family was sitting there. It was one of these when Paul McKenna was on. But it was going to be a programme about the use of hypnosis for more than entertainment. You know, way it helps people stop smoking, helps with phobias, etc. And help people remember things which were hidden deep in their subconscious. Now, you know when it goes off for the break, and then it says when we come back in the next part, and then they show you a clip to get you interested. And there was this guy who was a lorry driver, and he was talking, and he was saying about how he'd seen some really bright lights, and then he had missing time, and about since that time he'd been terrified of the dark. His wife had left him because of his moods, etc. And we were obviously keen to watch the next segment, and under hypnosis it transpired that the man had been abducted by aliens. Now, it was at this point that Jason got up, and he had tears streaming down his face, and he got up and he threw something at the screen, and he screamed, "That man on there is so stupid. He shouldn't want to remember, because I do. I remember everything, and I don't want to remember. I hate it. I hate them, and I hate you best of all for not coming when I need you." And with that, he stormed off into the kitchen. Now, we just sat there sort of numb, not knowing what to do. And it was Daniel, who at that time was 16, and he just looked at us sort of more with contempt than anything, and he just said, "Don't you get it yet?" And we said to him, "Get what?" And he said, "This guy was abducted by aliens." And we said, "Well, yeah." And he said, "Jason suffered that all his life." And Daniel went on, and he said, "Remember how upset I was when I was little?" He said, "And I said that my soldier guy had told me that he couldn't see me for a while." He said, "Because they'd realised that I wasn't the one they should be working with. It was Jason."